Spoiler warning for everything to do with episode 17, because we learned so much information about these characters. Laudna, Ashton, Fern, Aurum. Oh my goodness, there are secrets coming out the wazoo about these characters. I just want to let you know, we have a sponsor for this recap. Thank you very much to our sponsor, Describe.com. Check them out for your better box text, but we'll talk about them a little bit later. Let's begin. In the previous episode, the party had gone to rest at the Soot and Swill Inn, and we finished on a shot of Imogen cradling a mysterious purple crystal that she'd taken from the Shade Mother to her chest. She'd fallen asleep with this. Now, this warm crystal that gave off a strange tingling feeling had a very ominous vibe to it. And when Imogen went to sleep, she had her all too familiar nightmare. She's in the field in her homeland. She hears her mother's voice calling to her, saying, "Run, Imogen, run!" And there's this red, roiling storm approaching. But in this dream, she has the crystal. With this stone in her hand, she might have the option to face the storm. But she hesitates for too long. Is she going to stay? Is she going to go? Will you, Lou Reed? Will you not? So she leaves. She actually decides to flee at her mother's voice's behest. But she leaves it a little bit too late, and she actually gets caught in the storm a little bit. She feels the heat of this roiling red storm at her back, and she wakes up. Oof. Now, she's terrified. She's distraught when she wakes up. She ends up spending the rest of the night downstairs in the bar, just waiting until morning. And Laudna takes the crystal, the stone, off her and wraps it in a cloth and hides it in amongst the bed. She doesn't want anybody to touch this strange, unknown artifact. And in the morning, Fresh Cut Grass finally identifies it for them. And it is wild. This is a magical item called the Shard of the Gnarl Rock. The Gnarl Rock in this lore is a mythological stone somewhere in the Feywild. Its origin is unknown, but its presence there is very well known because the area surrounding the Gnarl Rock is transformed and strange. It's unnature. It's weird, nightmare nature. And they've got a shard of it. That's exciting. I'm excited for us and about what's going to happen in the future with this stone. Before they'd been distracted by the Green Seekers in the previous few episodes, the party were actually on their way to see Lady Hexom and take on a job that Ashton had been offered. So that's what they decide to do now. When they arrive at Hexom Manor, the party are confronted with these wacky statues, these strange busts with no face. And when you get close to these statues, they take on the features of you. They're meant to be unsettling. Lady Hexom seems like a pretty intimidating person. She comes downstairs, she meets the Bells Hells, the rest of the party, for the first time, and then she explains the mission. Here's the job. There's this person called Lord Avon, and Lord Avon reckons he's got this impenetrable security system. So much so, he's confident that nobody could steal anything from him. So, Lady Hexom and this other person named Mistress Ishis Shabanis, that's a great name. It's a great name, I guess. These two women have engaged in a wager with this person, Lord Avon. And they said, each of these two noble women are going to sponsor an adventuring party to break into Lord Avon's place and steal a particular item. Now, Lord Avon, he consents to all this. In fact, what's going to happen is the two parties are going to go meet Lord Avon in the Heartmoor to find out which item they're meant to burgle. And it's going to be a kind of race. The thing is, the rival party of burglars, is already in the Heartmoor waiting for Bells Hells to arrive. So they're going to have to arrive in the next week or so, otherwise Lady Hexom might forfeit the bet. Now, they're going to get a bunch of really good loot from this quest. They're going to be paid so much money. But the thing is, Heartmoor's a bit of a travel away. It's got a bit of a distance. So this Lady Hexom, offers to give them $300 for their travel expenses. But Fresh Cut Grass has the smart idea to say, well, actually, can you pay us in the form of a single diamond? Now, all of us D&D fans, we know that diamond worth 300 gold pieces is one casting of Revivify. So the next time somebody dies in combat, don't have a heart attack, okay? Don't have an aneurysm over this. You're going to be fine. They've got Revivify. They can use their heal bot and heal them up. So the party are heading to the Heartmoor. But before doing that, they do the patented three-way split. Great, 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 great. So part of the party goes to Milo's place in the Crook House. Fresh cut grass is going to get checked out for all of the wacky glitching that he's been doing recently, and Milo's going to be the person to check out Fresh cut grass's insides. So Fresh cut grass lies on this bench, gets strapped in, and Milo inspects Fresh cut grass and discovers all of this latent kind of dormant energy, this strange vibration that's working through his whole body. Isn't that strange? And Fresh Cut Grass complains about, I'm having trouble detaching my arm to go from my saw to my grappling hook. And Milo, being the genius that they are, they construct this strange cobalt arcane putty that they kind of affix into the joint. And what this stuff is going to do is let Fresh Cut Grass change their arm mechanism as part of their action, just like they're quick swapping weapons like anybody else, which is great. But Matt made a point to say, hey Sam, the next time you roll a 1, let me know. Another team of Fern and Lordna went to go see Lord Estros, and what they did is pretty much they did what I do. They just gave Lord Estros a recap. Theirs wasn't animated, but it was still lovely. I think they did a great job at a recap. And the third team was Chetney and Imogen, and they are team horses. They rented horses. Cool. One thing that's always really impressed me about Matt Mercer's style of running D&D is how much information he has on hand at any one time, especially in an urban setting. Because for me personally, when I have all the information of what's this building and what does it look like and what are the rooms, and you multiply that by 20 different businesses across the whole of Drusar, man, even if you give me all that information printed out, I can't get it. I don't have the discipline to be able to reference all that information. And that's where our sponsor comes in, Describe. I stuck in a sponsorship. Let's do it. I've already told you in previous videos, Describe is an award-winning provider of boxed text, descriptions of scenes, places, people, spells, events, things that your game master can read aloud or mine for specific phrases to make their descriptions better at the table, more vibrant, more Mercer-like. But today I want to highlight a feature that I love, and it's interactive maps. Check this out. Of course, this is the free version of an interactive map, but if you use the code Perkins at describe.com, you'll get 10% off your first month. If you check this out, this is an interactive map of a village. Oh, look at all these different locations here, but how am I going to remember what's at each of these locations? If you scroll over, it gives you the description of grazing animals, of the bridge, and all these individual descriptions here. They've got a lot of stuff. Like, check out this suite. Describe.com has thousands of descriptions of places, monsters, spells, and items, and it's all searchable in this great database. And the thing is, you could just read everything verbatim. You could go, ooh, I want a description of a knoll. I'm going to read out what it says about a knoll. But me personally, I've got a creative writing degree. So the way I use Describe is just to enhance my own instincts. I might go, well, what kind of words and verbs should I use for a knoll? So we could say blood-caked. That's great for a knoll. We could say toothy maw. I might just take single phrases from this and just Frankenstein it together for my own descriptions. I'm never going to be any kind of Matt Mercer. I'm too bald for that. But with this, with Describe.com, tell you what, I can describe like him. But hey, that's Describe.com. Use the code Perkins for 10% off your first subscription payment. Thank you very much for the sponsorship, Describe. Let's get back to the Critical Role recap. And here is the juicy part. I'm going to break this part of the recap I'm going to break it up a bit, okay? I'm going to get wacky because the party were doing some scenes where they were like, oh, we're camping and we're having one-on-one conversations and spilling the beans and the drama to each other. And the other section was we're rolling on a table and having pretty dramatic random encounters. So we're going to do the drama, then we're going to do the random encounters. And trust me, you don't want to miss either. Fern is the first person out of the gate to reveal some salacious gossip. Fern has revealed that she is from the Feywild. We know that. Thanks, Fern. But she's in the material plane looking for her missing parents. Their names are Oleander and Birdie. I remembered, Sam. I remembered their names. Don't leave the campaign. So these two people have been missing for quite a while. They've been sending Fern postcards, right? The postcards, of course, are probably arriving to Fern's home in the Feywild with her grandmother, Morrigan. The most recent postcard that Fern has received from her parents, they were in a little place called Aor. And if you've seen Campaign 2, you will recall that Aor is an ancient civilization known for having advanced technology and creating things like automatons. So this civilization has been destroyed for quite a while. How long ago did Fern receive this postcard? We know she's over 100 years old, but how old are her parents? Are they lost in time? What's going on? From looking at Matt's face during this scene, it seems like he knows what's up. Like, this is information said from Ashley with consent. It's all part of a broader plan, I believe. But my goodness, that is juicy from Fern. Imogen and Fresh Cut Grass surprised me a lot with this scene where they decide to investigate each other's kind of mental blockages and personal trauma in their own unique way by simultaneously casting detect thoughts on each other. And somebody even made the point of like, are they about to Freaky Friday themselves? Which means, swap bodies. And I thought it was totally going to happen because they cast this spell on each other and they start to experience each other's trauma. Like Fresh Cut Grass sees Imogen storm and Imogen sees Fresh Cut Grass's dead and slaughtered party. But the thing is, Matt had them both roll a d20 and they both rolled an 11. And if I was DMing, oh man, if you roll the same number on a Freaky Friday mind read situation, honey, you are about to get to know each other a lot better. You're swapping bodies, get ready. Ashton comes out of left field with a reveal that none of us were looking for. He reveals he hasn't always been like a stone dude. He used to be softer, and then when he was like 10 or 11, his stuff just started to change. I'm just realizing this might have been a puberty joke. I think he might have been making a puberty joke and I took it seriously. I don't know what to believe. Aurum reveals something sad about his past because Chetney asks about a particular moon tattoo on Aurum's body. And Aurum says that it's something to remind him of his husband who has been dead for 6 years, killed in the attacks on the Air Ashari. His husband's name was Will. But the biggest reveal, and this had me shaking, the biggest reveal was when Aurum said to Laudna, the strange thing is that you seem to be the happiest person in the group. And Laudna says, look, the worst thing that's ever going to happen to me has already happened. Laudna reveals that when she was taken by the Briarwoods in Whitestone for a particular feast, the way that she was killed, she was hung by the neck from the sun tree. And her ears, regular human-shaped ears, were actually cut to be pointed because she was one of the people that was hung from the sun tree as a warning in Campaign 1 to warn off Vox Machina. They hung up people that looked like the regular party members. They hung a child to represent one of the gnomes. And this person, Laudna, she was killed and strung up to represent Vex, Laura's character. So this is a character that was present in Campaign 1. The characters saw Laudna in Campaign 1. And I'm pretty sure that she's in the cartoon, the Vox Machina cartoon. I don't know, this is just such like a full circle moment, and I found it pretty emotional, I've been watching Critical Role for years and years. And I don't know, this was a reveal that I liked. This was a callback that I really appreciated. We also had some random encounters that netted some crazy cool loot, because the first thing that happened was a bunny, like a weird looking bunny, jumped out of the bushes at the party and Aurum chased it down with his boots of striding and springing and bunny catching. And he grabbed this bunny. It had a strange bit of glass, a strange piece of colored glass in its mouth. And he brought it back and Fresh Cut Grass did his magical identify on it. And it turns out it's another shard from the Feywild. This thing is specifically for sorcerers. And what it does is when the sorcerer uses their meta magic feature, which lets them sometimes make a spell quiet or double cast it or sculpt the spell around, like a blast around an ally or something like that, when they use meta magic to alter a spell, they can also choose once per day to roll on the Wild Magic table. The Wild Magic table is a list of 100 items that can happen, special effects. Some of them just end your campaign. The second random encounter was they found this tree that had been split in half by a lightning strike during a lightning storm, and Chetney managed to salvage some lightning struck wood off it. Said he's going to make a baseball bat and go pro. But in this tree, they found this strange blue petaled flower. Aurum went up to cut the flower off and take it. He took a bit of shock damage when he grabbed it. Now, this is a magical consumable item. When you're holding it, you have resistance to lightning damage up to a certain point. If you take too much lightning damage, then it's going to break. And you can also kind of blow the petals in a direction to do an arc of lightning damage. And I wouldn't be surprised if the damage here is kind of replicating the lightning bolt spell. But the final random encounter of the night was just so silly. It was so silly. They see a fairy when they're making camp. There's a fairy just chilling out there, kind of minding its own business, and then Ashton and Laudna go up and talk to it. But it's not really being receptive to them. It's trying to communicate kind of, but it can't speak. And it's trying to do something to Laudna. She keeps on succeeding saving throws, and she thinks, oh, it's trying to communicate with me, like telepathically. So they get Imogen to try and read its mind, but she can't quite pierce in, and she passes her saving throws. And finally they go, look, we've got a fey creature with us. We've got a fey lady. She's goat from the waist down. Let's wake up our girl Fern. They wake up Fern, who I'm pretty sure might be able to speak Sylvan, like the fey language, but she gets up and goes over to talk to this fairy, and she fails the saving throw. She starts walking towards the fairy to talk to the fairy, and she just keeps going. She doesn't stop. She walks off into the distance because this was not a fairy. Much in the way those creepy deep sea fish, the anglerfish, have the light at the end of the end of whatever this is, to lure in fish. Well, that's what this fairy was. And they have walked into like this weird kind of, what's the plant from Mario? You know, the chomper, the chomping plant? It's like a big one of those. I think that's what they're fighting next. That's the end of the episode. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks to all my patrons down here. Hey, patrons, you guys are all looking great. You look great down there. Keep it up. Oh, I don't look great. Love patrons. So nice. Also, thank you very much to Describe. Go to describe.com if you want to improve your box text and use the code Perkins for 10% off your first purchase. Also, click one of these links over here. Oh, wow. These videos look good. Good fun. I'm bad at doing the end of the video.